Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken Training. Today's training is going to be a tool review on this tool right here, which is a Ryobi. This is the package that it came in. So they call this the door hinge installation kit. So there's the model number right there, in case you want to purchase it. I purchased mine at the Home Depot for, I forget the price, $10 or $20, something like that. Now, so the reason why you'd want to use this is because you're doing some type of a door work. So you got to have a door in order to mortise in your hinges. So here's a door right here that I'm working on. Let me show it to you. All right, so here's a slab door in which there's no hole, there's no hinges, and there's no lock set. So first thing I need to do is I determined exactly where I want my hinges on my replacement door, and I brought those lines down. Then I just put little markings on the door to determine what direction do I want to cut this in. Do I want the hinge to be installed like this, like this? So obviously the way I have it set up, it's going to be installed like this. This is the top of the door. This is the top of the hinge right here. So I know that this hinge has to be installed like this. Now I want to mortise this out so that this is set flush. And this is the tool to give me that factory finished look on it, okay? And the way that this tool works is that it's completely adjustable. So you need to determine, first of all, what size is your hinge. Now, when you buy your hinges, here's the package for my hinges. So you can see that I've got 3.5 inch with a 5/8 inch radius. Now, on this tool here, depending upon how big your hinges are, you can go from 3 inches up to 5 inches. You just push that down and put it to the correct depth, and then that tells you exactly where to go. So for me, it's 3.5. It's right there. This particular plate here it's just stored in the back somewhere. I forget exactly where it's stored. Maybe it's stored like right there on the side. But basically you put that in here, and what that does is it gives you, when you do your routering, an extra support. So I should mention that, by the way, I like this tool, this Ryobi. I do recommend it. And okay, so now make sure that that's nice and flat there and there. And this is backed off. I've got that set correctly. Now, this tool allows you to do different size radiuses. So mine has the inserts in it. These inserts here, which are right here, they pop out. So you can just take this. Let me try to pop one out here. I might have to use a screwdriver here to pop it out. There we go. And so these things here, they pop out, okay? And here you can see on this side, I've got it in. That's for the 5/8 inch radius. On this side, it's not in. Without leaving it in, it'll do 1/4 of an inch radius. And then if you have a square, if your hinge is squared off, then you could do it with the chisel to take out that little notch. But my hinges need these little inserts, so they just simply pop in on the back real easy, and they only go in one way, so they're pretty much idiot proof. Make sure that sits in there nice and flat, and then there's that. Okay, you're going to need a router in order to router out your hinges. There's a depth gauge in this jig right here, so it tells you, depending upon which hinge size you have. This one on the left is for a depth of 3, 3.5, and 4. The one on the right is 4.5 and 5. So what you do is you take your router and you adjust the depth of it so that way it matches up. So when it's flush here, it's just barely touching the this depth gauge right here. So it has a built-in depth gauge to tell you exactly how deep to go depending upon how thick your hinges are, and that's what this is all about, okay? So that's all perfectly fine. So now I've got my router already set up so that it's at the correct depth for the hinge that I'm working. I've got my correct radius bit in there, so I have the correct radius. I already have 3.5 inches in right there, so I'm already got the correct size there. So you can see that the hinge just kind of would fit like right in there, just like that. Just, you know, this is basically what we're going to be cutting out. Now, here's my door that I'm going to be working on, and I've already got exactly where I want that to go. So now it's just a matter of putting it in. Alright, so first of all you want to make sure you have your orientation correctly. So I know that my round portion is going to go here and here. So I put that in like that because that's how it's going to cut out. Secondly, then you push it flat against this way, and then you have to get your left and right. These lines here, which are the lines for the hinge, okay, like that, what I want to do is I want to center that right in here. So put this nice and flat, get this so that it's exactly in the center, right, about like that. Holding it down, turn your thumb screw, there we go, and now the template is nice and solidly attached to the door. Now I'm going to go ahead and router it out. When I router it out, I'm going to put on eye protection and hearing protection. One thing you want to do when you do your routering, when you turn the router on, you want to go straight in, do your routering, and then pull it out. Sometimes I move the router, and that's why mine's been nicked a couple of times because I didn't pull it straight out when I was doing it. So you want to be a little careful that you just go straight in, router it out, and then pull it straight out. So here we go. Once your routering is done, unscrew your turn, take that out, and if you did it properly, you now have a perfectly mortised out hinge. Now, when you want to go to set your hinges, I do recommend you use this tool, which is a self-centering center punch. So when I hold this hinge where I want it to, I hold the self-centering center punch right there, tap this in with the hammer. I don't have my hammer with me right now, but you tap it in right there and then it will self-center that right there. Let me go grab my hammer. Alright, so now I got my hammer. So I know that the top of the door is here. Hinge goes in like this, so it closes like this. Holding this in nice and tight, put your self-centering punch right there. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Now the way that I like to do it is I like to do one at a time. So rather than do all three, I just do one and then do a dry fit on the door and then make sure that that's going to work out okay. But basically it's the same process to use once you're happy with where the hinge is located, then you can go ahead and punch the other two. But I just start out with doing one at a time. Alright, so there you have it. There's your tool review for this Ryobi door hinge installation kit. I do recommend it. I like it. I use it. I'm just a DIYer doing residential doors at my house. I'm not a professional door installer, so it's not like I'm doing 1,000 doors, but for a DIYer, for home, for residential use, this is giving me great results. I think that it looks just like a factory finished mortise hinge when once I'm done with it. So I'm very satisfied with that. When you do your hinges, you have to be real careful upon your placement, because the casing is non-forgiving. That's why I only start out with just one hole. In case I'm off and I need to move it, I can do it and still have two solid holes left that are undisturbed in case I need to make an adjustment. But hopefully I'll be dead on when I put the door on, and I'll just be able to just center tap in those other two. But I want to wait until I do a dry fit, and that is why I start out with just one. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review. You can check out my channel if you're interested in more installing slab doors, because I'm doing a whole bunch of slab door work. And I've got videos on there where I'm finishing doors and installing doors and doors. And and then I'll have another review on how to do the lock set, so you can watch that one as well. But this particular review is just on this one tool. I'll see you later.